works for animals. Let's go. So, similar to humans, minimum harm or minimize harm, maximize benefit. Same as human studies, you want to have minimum harm to animals, but maximum benefit via applying your findings to help other animals or even humans. And then replacement. Wherever possible, the use of animals should be replaced by previous video footage or computer simulations, especially important when the study involves teaching or training. Then species. The species used should be scientifically and ethically suitable for research. The researchers need a good understanding of the species' natural history, the level of sentience, the whether they were captive or bred in captivity versus being wild, if they were involved in previous research or not. The species chosen, should be least likely to suffer while still meeting the study's objectives. They should consult experts on the species, and the use of non-human primates should be avoided due to the high level of sentience that they have. In terms of numbers, they should aim to use the smallest number of animals possible with the smallest period of time as well to reduce any sort of prolonged harm to the animals, prolonged suffering, anything like that. The reduced number of animals is achieved via appropriate pilot studies using a very small number of animals to ensure that a study design is reliable and valid before moving on to a larger number of animals as to, not waste anything. There should also be reliable measures of behavior. Usually we can use previously proven measures to make sure that we're not wasting anything, and same for good experimental design and appropriate statistical tests, just to make sure that we can use the smallest number of animals possible while still ensuring that our findings are valid and reliable and accurate. Then procedures, pain and distress. Add a few spaces here. Pain and distress, we should avoid death, obviously. We should avoid death, disease, and any psychological or physical discomfort. We should enrich their environment rather than deprive them of things. We shouldn't observe animals during natural adverse conditions. Try to balance the amount of harm versus the amount of gain from the findings of the study. And pain can only be ethically justified where there's no other alternative research method, and the findings would have significant scientific or educational value. Surgical procedures should be conducted using anesthesia. Anesthesia. Yeah, okay. And if termination of an animal is necessary, then it should be done swiftly, obviously. And second to last, penultimate point here is housing. The social/natural behavior of species should the social/natural behavior of the species plus the social/natural behavior of the species that is being studied. Wait, what am I saying? That's the same thing. I'm retarded. Sorry. Yeah. So the social/natural behavior of the species that's being studied should be taken into account. It should be considered. For example, if they are normally in social groups, then isolating the animals would be ethically bad. It would just be unethical. It's not unethical, it's unethical. It would be unethical to isolate animals that are normally in social groups, and same thing with overcrowding less social, less grouped animals. Also, trying to use the animal's natural housing, whether that's in captivity or in the wild, as the testing area helps to reduce harm. Finally, the use of rewards, deprivation, and aversive stimuli. We need a good understanding of the animal's eating and drinking habits. Reward, deprivation, and aversive stimuli is, when we're talking about this, we're talking about conditioning, operant conditioning, classical conditioning, trying to train the animals, trying to make the animals learn something. Where of course we use rewards or deprivation of things or aversive stimuli to create connections between behaviors and encouragement, right? Or discouragement. And so we need a good understanding of the animal's eating and drinking habits before we can use deprivation as a motivator, as in deprivation of food, right? And normally we should try to use rewarding animals rather than depriving animals in terms of training them. Also, other motivating options like reward or less harmful aversive stimuli should be considered first before using deprivation or aversive stimuli. There you go. That's ethics for animals. Very simple. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.